Hi, everyone. I am Maria Cozza. I am a mentor at the BD School. I am also a business development consultant for a creative agency here in Rome. Its name is Necos. And I'm the co-founder of Lit School, which is an Italian language school and translation agency. Take a moment and think about how networking is changing or has changed in this peculiar time. The way we work and network is kind of hybrid right now, because of course we work and network offline and online, but before the pandemic, it was left to your personal inclination, to your personal propension, or it was due to the characteristics of your specific job or company. And then for a year and a half almost, we have been forced to do everything online because it was impossible to meet people outside. And now the situation is hybrid because we are allowed to go out and restart meeting people, but at the same time, we don't want to leave the tools and the platforms we have used. So we are continuing to attend online webinars, online conferences, and so on. And I think that this situation is here to stay. I don't think that it will change. Right now, we are a bit struggling in networking because we have lost touch with meeting people or building relationship in this way. And maybe also because it is very difficult, at least for me, but I mean, I talk to many people and they agree that it is a bit difficult to transform a relationship that you have built for a year on a platform, on a specific platform or through a screen, and now transform it in an offline relationship. So it is a bit embarrassing, it is a bit awkward to ask not a stranger, but a person that you meet so well to come and visit to your office and see you for the first time. This webinar gave me the chance to focus on the positive aspects. And the first positive aspect is that we are all on the same boat. If before the pandemic, shy people were struggling and extrovert and sociable people were very at ease doing networking, now we are all uncomfortable. The second positive aspect that I found is that the situation itself is a great icebreaker. For instance, asking how do you feel in attending an offline event again, or have you been to many offline events? And I know that it is a bit basic. I mean, they are a bit obvious, but they work actually because they are two open questions and they can open a conversation. Third positive aspect that I found is that you now are able to contact more people compared to before the pandemic. And that's because before the pandemic, some people, and maybe I was one of them, weren't so keen on being contacted online. So weren't so keen on building a relationship starting from a LinkedIn message or an email. So now that they were forced to be online for a year and a half, they are available, they are accustomed to these tools and they want to be contacted because they now recognize the importance of these tools. At the same time, they have spent a year and a half sharing information online. They weren't used to do it before, now they do. So you can do some research about them and try to understand more about them before approaching them. It has changed in shape and in composition, and this affected my professional network and my personal network as well. I've always relied on this distinction. I've always found it very clear to me. And now I'm trying to overcome this distinction between personal and professional network. And that's because I found out that, yes, you are a professional. You should be, for instance, Lucia, in my professional network. But then I realized that I share with you so many personal information. And I realized that my best friends have been able in the last 2 years to give me so many good professional advice. This is also a thing you can't actually work on. I mean, I can't convince you to become my sister or hire my mother, for instance. There's no way to change these categories, you know. Instead, what's very important to me, and what I realize is very important right now, is to distinguish your networking based on the strength of the ties. This means distinguish between weak and strong ties. And this is, I think, is very useful because it is something you can work on. You know, you can try to strengthen a tie and make a weak tie strong, but you can also filter among your ties. I usually filter people related to the joy they bring to my life. And joy is not just a naive concept. Joy is important because you can consider joy also good advice or good ideas, good strategies, or role modeling, and so on. A weak tie is someone who is not so close to you, is someone that maybe you have known in the past, you have worked with, but then you have lost touch. It can be, they can be, I don't know, a neighbor, for instance, an acquaintance, but I don't want, and you shouldn't, in my opinion, consider your weak ties useless, because they're not. They're very, very useful. I've recently read about a research. These sociologists surveyed people who had recently changed job. And he found out that 17% of these people had heard about the job opportunity thanks to a strong tie. 17% is a good percentage, in my opinion. It looks like it's low. It's not, because you don't usually use your parents or relatives to look for a job. You don't usually do so. 17% is high. But the percentage of people who had heard about the job opportunity thanks to a weak tie was higher, was 28%. And I think that's obvious. What is surprising is that I hadn't thought about this thing, which is very important, because of course, when you need new ideas, when you need new opportunities, you should get out from your bubble. And your bubble is made of strong ties. So if you want to have new opportunities, you have to get out from your bubble. You have to go to your weak ties. So this means that weak ties are more effective, more efficient at giving you access to new information and new opportunities. At least consider networking as enlarging your bubble, which is less scary and maybe easier to do. You don't listen to lead generation, you know, and this is important because networking doesn't mean lead generation. Of course, you can improve the opportunity to reach out to new clients, but it is important that you don't take these expectation into consideration if you want to succeed at networking. In my opinion, the right attitude is that you're not looking for a client, you're looking for a friend. When you are sent to an event just in order to sell something, that's not networking, that's lead generation. One of the most important aspects of networking is time. So if you want a result quickly, maybe networking is not, it's just not the answer. I mean, you can realize that it is a long-term achievement, you know, because you can't become friends with someone in a day or in a 30-minute hour. And at the same time, when you are networking, you are not looking for a client just because you are looking for someone you can rely on in the future as well. And a client is someone that can also stay with you for the rest of their life, hopefully, if your product or service is very good. But this person is putting their interests as first. I mean, we always focus on the first moment we meet someone, you know, we always focus on the ice breaking, and also that's normal. And we also focus on the first moment we meet someone because we want to give a very good first impression. And they are crucial, both icebreakers and a very good first impression, they are crucial. I don't want to deny it. but I mean, those are not the moments in which you succeed. For instance, meet a linker in the short term. You meet someone who is not the most important person in the room, and this person knows someone and can introduce you to someone. Usually I try to find a strategy. For instance, sometimes we go and attend events because we want to meet the speakers. But when you go to that event, the speaker is very busy. The speaker is going to meet a bunch of people. The speaker is going to take your business card and put with, I don't know, 200 business cards. And then, yes, you should do it. You should go and introduce yourself. That's good. But what I prefer to do is to go and meet someone who is helping to organizing the event, because that person knows the speaker, have called the speaker or met the speaker, and maybe this person can introduce me to the speaker the day after. You have to do your homework. It means that you have to do your research. You have to prepare well about, for instance, the event itself, because it happens often that a very common icebreaker is, do you know who the speaker is? And you have the answer, yay, you can share information. So you are useful at the very first moment. Another strategy I have sometimes is to avoid professional events and find some less professional events. What I do is to study maybe their hobbies. If they share their hobbies online, it happens. If they share places where they go to cultivate their hobbies and so on. And maybe if you meet them in that place, they are more open. And I don't want you to pretend to be a golf player if you're not. No, but you can, I don't know, go to a wine tasting, for instance, or stuff like this. You should apply lateral thinking every time, because you can also go to professional events and be in a less competitive environment if you don't go to your industry business professional event. So I try to sell, for instance, my translation services. I don't go to translation events. I don't care. I mean, I go there in order to be updated, but I don't sell my products there. I could go to a web or a tech event. The most important thing is that in the long term, you will also be able to have more resources to help people. And it is very important because it is based on a principle called giver's gain. If you help someone, if you give something to someone, that person will be willing to reciprocate and return you the favor. This is the main idea. The important thing is that also giver's gain, as well as networking in general, is strictly related to time. The more you wait before asking something in return, the stronger will be the will to reciprocate. So the stronger will be the leverage you have. The most important thing to do is to listen carefully to what your interlocutors say, because if you want to help them, and you want to help them because you want to ask them something maybe in 5 months from now, you have to listen to them carefully and not to do all the talking in order to know them better, but also because people like to talk about themselves. And so you're more likable if you allow them to talk about themselves. It's pretty common, it's pretty easy. We sometimes forget these. We sometimes spend our time focusing on our resume or trying to show off or pitching our product. But after saying who we are, maybe the most important thing to say is something you want to ask, and something that shows that you're interested in what your interlocutor is saying. Or you can share information. For instance, if your interlocutor tells you about a difficulty or a problem he's trying to overcome, you can share your knowledge. You can also share your network. This is a very good habit that sometimes we're not so keen on embrace, which is don't be jealous of your network. And also, if you meet some good networker, they will ask questions about yourself. So you will be allowed to talk about yourself because they're trying to understand you in order to help you. The most important don't is that there are forbidden topics. The first time you meet someone, you shouldn't talk about politics, about religion, and about love. Don't sell. The important thing related to the don'ts is that you are allowed to make mistakes, and maybe sometimes also to use them during your conversation. I mean, if you realize that you're talking too much, just say it. Oh my gosh, I'm talking too much. I'm sorry, please. You can approach those people and ask just an advice, for instance, or ask them about their experience. We always think that you should be valuable in a specific way, that we should make people rich in order to be evaluated as valuable, considered valuable. That's not true. I mean, you can help that person in so many ways. Maybe that person in that specific moment is looking for something or for someone, and you can help them. I mean, you're not in an interview, so you're not being evaluated because of your career or stuff like this. You can just introduce yourself. I work for this amazing company. We're young. We need all the advice possible. Can I ask you this about your personal experience? If you know already the person, maybe you can show that you made your research, for instance. Or otherwise, you can just introduce yourself and ask him, wow, I'm very excited to be here. It's my first time here because I'm very young, in brackets. But I'm very excited to be here. And have you ever been here? And that person will reply, yes, it's my 17th time at this event because I'm much more expert than you. Who cares? So be natural. You don't have to pretend to be something you're not. Okay, there are some icebreakers, common icebreakers that you can use that are the usual ones. Have you ever been here? What do you think about this event? I mean, very, very basic questions that open a conversation. The thing is that everybody is there in order to do this, So if they are in small groups, and they already know them, they already know each other, and they don't go and meet new persons, they're losing at their goal, So if you are alone, try. Go, hi, I'm Veronica, nice to meet you. I love this place. Is this the first time you've been here? The only thing you shouldn't be is feeling awkward, because that's normal to feel awkward. Everybody feels awkward that day. That's awkward what we do. It is a bit difficult at the beginning, no? But you know what else? You could do your homework, and before the event, try to understand who are the people who are attending the event, and studying their picture and their image online, and then go recognize them and go and introduce. I think I met you online. Is that possible? I'm Veronica. Nice to meet you. So, or I know your work is amazing. I know your company. That's amazing. The day after you meet someone, you should reach out to them, maybe via email or WhatsApp. I don't know what kind of contact you have, and thank them for the conversation and saying that it's been a pleasure to meet them. That's very, very important. And then after a week or a month, you should try to reconnect with that people. So you should remember what you talked about. So if you don't have a very good memory, as I don't have, you should take notice about everything, and notes about everything, and then mention an article about a problem, or suggesting an event, a similar event in the future. I've read these about your problem. Can it help you? Or I realized that I have a friend who works in your same field and maybe can help you. Or I have a friend that can be interested in your product. Do you want me to introduce you to them? So this is, I think, a way in order to recall, in the memory of that person, that you exist and that you are useful.